Hey, good afternoon. This is Matt Green with Real Insights Live. I'm excited to share with you my guest today, Mike Dooley, CEO of the Dooley Group and Director of Growth for Hergen Roth Realty Group. We're going to jump right into today's call. This is our 9th episode. So, Mike, you actually get to be our last before we go to double-digit episodes. So, appreciate you being on our show today, and welcome. Why don't we just start out, if you don't mind, by sharing with our audience a little bit about your journey to real estate.
Awesome. And 9 must be a good number. I looked at our rankings this morning, just in our Arkansas location. They're ranked 9th in all the board out of 2,500 people. So that must be a lucky number for us. Obviously, we all like to be number 1, so they got some work to do, but we'll go with that 9. And thanks for having me. And I'll just, just a quick snapshot is everyone that's watching and listening. Matt and I really wanted to do this just to pay it forward, to say, you know what, go for your dreams. We've read the $1 Million Real Estate book. We've heard Gary. Let's just go for it. Let's go big. So we did that with my MAPS coach as I started. We're developing our first year here. We said 82.5 million is our number. And it looks like projections will be at 55.3 million in all our locations, which is super exciting.
In year one.
In year one, just for the Dooley Group. And you said, what does that start like? And people can, and depending on how you look at the year, we say I got my license Valentine's Day of 2016, started full-time August 1, and we'll weave throughout this Facebook Live a little stories about my wife or not. As you guys know, you all have those amazing partners and people that say, wait a minute, you're going to do a commission-only job. Let's talk a little more about this. And I think I'm a good negotiator, but you can see the time gap between when I got my license and I started full-time. Obviously, I wasn't that good of a negotiator.
So tell us a little bit about what you were doing prior to real estate. How and where did you make that transition, that leap to, because it is a leap of faith. I mean, to go from potentially a salary-based position to commission-only, what were you doing prior? And were there any things about your previous career that really, do you think, supported or created that path for you to be successful in the real estate business?
Great question. Yep. So for about 13 years, I sold to large retailers, Walmart, Target, Super Value, for some great Fortune 200 companies, Kraft Foods, Abbott Nutrition, worked with Collective Bias, worked with Jarden. The last role that I did prior to coming to real estate, I launched Yankee Candle at Walmart, which was a lot of fun. So some of the things I know we're going to be talking about today is social media. So yes, I had that great advantage and a huge advantage of having some of those large brands experience on how they go to market and their market strategy with reaching consumers through social. So we're able to translate that into real estate. And yes, you asked about, was it scary? Dead on. I think how it really started is my father-in-law is a custom home builder here in Arkansas. And he said, hey, him and I combined said, let's build some specs together. I was looking for something more. I was going to turn 40 years old. And you all get to that period, that midlife crisis, and said, is my life where I want it to be? And I just knew I could do so much more. Not that the companies or the roles were bad. They were awesome, great companies. But I just said, as a father of a 5-year-old and a 15-month-old, I have to tell them, go do and be whatever you want to be. And I wasn't doing that in my own life. So that's why real estate and why I wanted to have a big, massive life. And that's a little bit what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I love that. Isn't that interesting how kids create that perspective? Like, you think about how you're sharing with them and the vision and aspirations you have for them. And it really creates that moment where you have to look in the mirror and say, am I living the same things that I'm teaching? I love that.
For sure. Yeah. I think about my 5-year-old. I was going to say, I said, what do you want to do? Right now, she's saying she wants to be on Dancing with the Stars. That'd be my job. I'm like, we're in Arkansas, honey. I guess mom and dad are relocating to California to make this happen for you.
I love it. So share with the group, and thank you for those that have joined us on Facebook Live. We've got a number of people hopping on and participating. And if you'd like, please, we'd love for you to share and give us a thumbs up. And certainly if you have any questions for Mike, please post your questions. We will try to get to a number of the questions later in the call. So Mike, share with us a little bit about the Hergen Roth Realty Group, your relationship with them, and what your business looks like, what the Dooley Group looks like, And what kind of transactional, where are you guys located? What are you doing? And what kind of transactions are you going to do this year? You mentioned a little bit about 50 million this year. What does that consist of?
For sure. And great question. I don't know how long people are going to stay on this Facebook Live, hopefully 3 or 4 more hours to explain all that. But I'll give a synopsis, the pieces, so and people will even say, see, expansion, even our world within Keller Williams, let alone real estate itself, is so new, and people are really starting to really, it's explosion, if you will, right now. And why? So I started the Dooley Group, if you will, as a CEO. Great big business, and we're in Arkansas, we're in Kansas City, we're in Omaha, and we're in Charlotte. And I come upon the most brilliant, smart people. So Adam Hergenrother, Carrie, all the leadership team. And we started having dialogue, probably even a year ago. But I came and realized, I heard a stat at ESO, so our expansion summit. I even heard Gary say this at Family Reunion, that expansionists are going to do about 10% of all of Keller Williams business this year.
Wow.
So my eyes popped up and I go, whoa, there's 174,000 agents. There's only like 500 expansionists. That's a large disparity, a big gap. And then they went on further to say they're going to do 20 to 25% of all of Keller Williams business in 2018. And I said, whoa, this is the Amazon, this is the Google, this is the Apple. I have to be part of that. So we figured out a way for me to have this great, big, awesome world within their world. So expansion within expansion. So I was able to take advantage of all the great systems, models, and tools that they've already built. I mean, Adam's been building his organization for 6.5 years. So I was able to come in and say, you've done all the hard work, and I tease him. I said, now I get to be on Facebook Lives. I get to tell the story and have great things because of all your hard work. And I'm appreciative. But really what it does, though, is it allows our world to be bigger. I mean, we have 26 people on the Dooley Group now in all those locations. So they're able to have more opportunity. How many organizations do you have that have a director of sales now? Most organizations are singular agents or agents and an admin. So we're taking this to a whole nother level. So that's the blessing of having Hergenrother Realty Group and the Dooley Group partnering together.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
and I was just, you asked me a lot of questions. One thing I didn't even touch on, I just want to make sure I share with the folks there. We're in 20 locations. And we have some amazing CEOs and amazing people out there. We have 112 agents, and we're number 2 in expansionists in several of the categories in all of Keller Williams business, which, like we talked about in the beginning, when you say number 9, Adam and our whole organization hates to hear number 2 or number 9. We need to be number 1, but it's about paying it forward and having, and John Davis talks about this, having abundance for all of us and abundance in our world. And that's one of our things is how many people have we helped transforming the lives of home ownership. We're going to do almost 1,000 homes, help 1,000 people this year. That's awesome. And that's amazing.
That is amazing. So of that 50 million that you referenced in production, that's the Dooley Group, if I understand correctly. And what locations is the Dooley Group in at this point?
Correct. Yep. So for this year, be just north of about $40 million in our Arkansas location. Omaha, Kansas City, and Charlotte, North Carolina, which we have some great leaders in those locations.
That is so cool. Congratulations. I mean,
Thank you.
A couple of things that made me really think about what you said. One was that fewer and fewer people are doing more and more of the business. And Diana, I was in a meeting a few weeks ago with Diana Kokoska, where she actually referenced that right now they think about 15% of the agents are doing 85 or 80+ % of the business. And they think that's going to go even to like 10% over the next handful of years. 10% of the agents will do 80+% of the business in the industry, which is really interesting. It kind of speaks to this expansion systems model that you're talking about. I was down teaching the business planning clinic for Keller Williams in St. George a week ago, and a really good friend of mine, really talented agent, Jeremy Larkin, was sitting in the room, and I shared with the group that I'd be interviewing you and what kind of production you've done in just such a short period of time. And it was interesting because he said, you guys, listen, these guys are thinking about real estate differently. The ability to go do that kind of business that quickly really is people coming to the industry thinking about it very differently than what we have as traditional people in the industry have for years and years. And you kind of alluded to that, your ability to step in, and Adam's done the work for 6 years prepping for this. building the organization. And Mike, every organization, the pretty face shows up. You're the pretty face, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Let's not tell him that. Hopefully he's not watching.
It takes advantage of, all the effort that went before. And we assume that you just show up and like, big splash. And they're absolutely true. Like, we have to have those kinds of people like you show up and really drive the business. But I really appreciate the fact that you've honored Adam, and the fact that there was a lot of work, years of work prepping to set up the structure in the organization for you to accomplish what you've done in such a short period of time. I think, there's a lot of wisdom in that, and a lot of kudos to you in that.
For sure. And just a couple things I'd weave in. We have some amazing people that just came, some of our almost our whole organization, just in the dually group portion, was not in real estate a year ago. I'm the most seasoned person in real estate. And you think about that, and people are like, whoa, because we were able to have these big thinkers, and Gary even talks about in the MREA, his first story about the little boy that's going to shoot, right? He says, have big models and big goals. See, our this year goal just for our Arkansas location is $144 million. So I have people that were dealing with Walmart and were other places, and they've grabbed onto the vision, and they've worked really hard, and they don't know being an agent by yourself where you say, hey, you're only going to do $1 million, or you're going to do 500, be happy if you cap. See, they don't know any different. So they've come in and said, this is our large vision. Now let's build the models and the systems and have the staff and the people to do that. And we're all moving. It's like Apple. When Apple, you think about their first phone has more technology in it than we landed on the moon with. And you think about that concept, that's the same thing that we're doing here, is we're saying $144 million. And it really won't even dent our market share. If you look just from our Arkansas location, it might be like 3.5 points. So if you're able to explain that to someone and lay out that vision, people gravitate and say, I want to be a part of that. And I think that's what's helped. And that's how we've weaved in social, is being able to do that and have people say, we're just like this. We're asking people, hey, who wants to be a part of something great? Who doesn't want to be a part of something fun? You're paying it forward, you're having gratitude, and you're having a good time with abundance.
And vision plays such an important role in that, right? Like, if you don't have a big enough vision and can really articulate and communicate that vision, you're not going to attract talent. There's no way you join that group unless Adam has an enormous vision for what they're going to go accomplish.
For sure.
Yeah. Awesome. And that's your ability to attract those talents and get in business with those kinds of people, is having that big vision. So as you know, one of the reasons I reached out to you is I posted on social media, like, who do you know, to my audience, that really is engaging at a high level in social media, having great business building effect in their social media strategy. And several people suggested I get in contact with you. So clearly you're doing something good. And I'm kind of on this mission.
I paid them right.
Right. And I'm kind of on this mission to understand this. I've seen several, including Gary and others, just say, in many ways, the fastest way for an agent to get into the business and start having success right away is through utilizing social media and utilizing those platforms to really communicate to their sphere in a meaningful, consistent way to start getting into business. So let's jump into that social media aspect of the conversation that I'm really looking forward to. And if you would, what are some of the things that you're doing, or how have you strategically, focused on social media as a way to build and drive your business?
Great question. A couple things. You can think about in Gary's book, he had a big switch when he said this is the international office, but he was just in Austin. So when we developed all of our pages, our Instagram page, our Facebook page, our LinkedIn, all those, we developed it the Dooley Group. And it's funny, it was just Mike Dooley. There's no group, there's no anyone, there's no marketing manager, but we let out that perception that that's where we're going. So when we were able to recruit high talent, like I said, most people can't even fathom having 26 people just in their Dooley Group organization in 1 year. So when you're able to lay out that vision and say, here's where we're going. And my wife and I tease about this sometimes. I wanted to do a post that said worldwide. And she said, well, babe, you're only in United States currently. And I know on the horizon, we're working through a Dominican Republic. We're like a couple steps away from being able to close on that. So see, that's where the vision is. So if I'm able to tell someone this is where our organization is going, they gravitate and want to be a part of that. And I'm just, for some of our listeners, I'm going to go back to something and, you know, prepping for this, I was thinking through what was like a pivotal time for me and us. So, you know, I'm in bold, which a lot of us are taking, and, you know, you call for sale by owners. I got a for sale by owner, great, sweet lady. And she's like, no, we're good, basically, you know. And as we all know, we hear the stats, it takes 17 days to convert a for sale by owner. But most agents and most people only touch them once. But I continued up every Friday. The third Friday, she converted. And I said, listen, and I don't remember what the stat was at the time, but I think I had like 4,000 Facebook friends. I currently have 5,000 Facebook friends, but I was able to say, I'm going to do a video of your home and it's going to go out to 4,000 people on my Facebook. And that helped. That was the last little trigger that helped her say, I'll list with you. And I listed. That night I posted the video, and the next day we had a showing on someone that said, I've seen that house, but I didn't really even get the concept. You know, it just seemed dark. It didn't seem like the right fit for me. And the next day, and they had been in there 4 or 5 times, and we got it sold like 36 days later. And that was a 700K property. So that's not like this is a 200K property. It was just highlighting it differently. And we used social to do that.
So as you got into the business, did you specifically think this is a platform for me to really build my business, or did you just kind of stumble into it? Were you purposeful about your approach with social media, or did you kind of get in and go, man, this seems like an easy way to touch my sphere?
Very purposeful. And here's the thing. When you think about you're just starting any company that you're doing, real estate or whatever it is, what's one of the things that you have? You don't necessarily have a lot of time because maybe you're coming from another role or you're a dual agent, you're coming in. You don't have a lot of resources. You don't have funds. Social media is the easiest way, cost effective, to get to your audience, to get your information out there and get it out to a lot of people. And that really helped us catapult our business and has continued on. I mean, we're growing. We're seeing some of our views are 4,000 views on some of our videos. And it helps when you help tell someone saying, like, for instance, just in our Bentonville location, it's a relocation where we have 31 people move here a day. So we're telling a seller saying, we're realizing that people for Bella Vista, for instance, are coming from California. Well, we can touch them with Facebook ad buys, and you can touch them with social media or engage with them that you can't do in any other platform as quick or as cost effective.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I think a lot of times people underestimate just how targeted we can get with our Facebook advertising. And then, you know, even with our organic post, the ability to, like I was talking about this, it's the other day with a classroom of agents. And I said, look, what does it cost to post something if you have 100 followers versus 5,000 followers? There's no additional cost.
For sure.
And your ability to touch all those people it's just such an incredible leverage piece for us. And when we think about the intention of those touches is developing relationship and developing conversation, you know, what a powerful way to do it. Social media does it way better than any other media, print, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty incredible. And people get to really see who you are.
For sure.
Which is incredible. So as you focused on being purposeful about your social media effort, what classes did you take? What books have you read that really have shaped your approach, or, you know, really helped you think through about strategy?
A couple of things. Inc. magazine, obviously, you know, puts out some blurbs every now and then you can integrate. But here's the thing. If someone's not doing social now, I'd go through Instagram and I'd go through Facebook and I'd say, who's doing it really well? I think we're doing a pretty good job. So I would love for you to follow us, of course. But I would say, let's follow those, and and here's the culture of Keller Williams that I love. It's R&D. Here's what I'm using. Here's what I'm doing. You're more than welcome to tailor it to yourself. So that's something we did. We said, who's doing it great currently? And not only in real estate, but in other, Richard Branson. So we followed people that had great engagement, and we saw how they were using hashtags. How many hashtags are they using? Like, for instance, Twitter only has 140 characters. So a hashtag needs to be 10 characters or less to really be able to fit in the content that you want. And make sure that we have really great photographer. I mean, we have some amazing photographer partnerships too. So our content is really sharp. And that's something we realized in the beginning too, is take your time and take a really good shot and make sure that that's engagement and someone's going to get involved with that and have a conversation around it.
Yeah, so really compelling content, great photography,
For sure.
yeah, compelling statements and conversations. So you referenced, and I that's one of the things I love about Keller Williams, right? Our ability to just reach out and have conversations, and people are so willing to share. But are there any agents out there that you emulated or started to follow that you said, I really want to try to shape my strategy to follow what they've done in the past or what they're currently doing?
Yeah, great question. And, obviously Adam is one of those people, and I actually read one of his blog posts last night, and it said he's runs 5 companies and he's writing a book. And I thought, man, can I even write a book? It's crazy. But I think they do a really nice job. And that's one of the reasons that I gravitate. And I don't want just, obviously talk about him, but I think, Tim Heil does a great job. Kristen Cole Network, they do a really good job. And you're looking at those people and you're realizing, so they're doing really good marketing, really good social. And then you look at some of our rankings as far as how many families are they helping, how many states and places they're in. Cody Gibson, they're doing a really nice job. And you're realizing these people are in 20, 30, 40 locations. Social media has to be working from a recruiting standpoint and helping buyers and sellers accomplish their goals. So, so yes. And you know what? I want to make sure I weave in. You talked about what books or what things I'm doing. Also, in my first year, I went to about 20 things. I went to ESO Summit. I went to Mega Camp. I went to Family Reunion. And I just sat and listened and took it all in and really just figured out how to make it my own. But I learned from people that were going ahead of me.
Nice. So when it comes to social and your team's social media strategy, are there any specific trainings, books, things that podcasts that people should be listening to really understand how to develop their own strategy in the social space?
Yeah, a couple things. Jeff Woods, for the one thing, I think he's doing some awesome work in his blog and his podcast. And I think if you wanted to see a 360 marketing plan, because it's not like he's been doing it for a long time, I think he's a good person to watch because you can kind of follow behind his steps, and he's very willing to share. He does talks. And you know what else too? If you have, and I don't want to make it seem like Mike Dooley is doing it all, and this is just someone for people to pay it forward and to grow to. We're blessed now where we have amazing marketing people, Aaron, Ashley Bennett, all these people now that we're able to screenshot stuff. And this is where leverage comes in. And I said, this looks awesome. We should do this. And I'm sure they would rather me be a little more strategic in the way I do that. But you're traveling, you're busy, and I'm screenshotting a lot of them. And they're like, all right, hey, that's 40 for today. You're good. But I think that's the piece is to where you're going to strive to. So obviously Jeff Woods, I think, is great and does a really good job. So, I don't know. I mean, we'll think through. I should have had some good notes on there on those people, but I think he does a good job.
Yeah, awesome. If you don't mind too, maybe after the call, if you continue to have other thoughts relative to that specific, I'd love for you to engage on Facebook and answer some of those questions if you don't mind. We've got 42 live viewers right now. Appreciate you guys being on the call. If you have any questions, please post them. We're going to try to get to questions here in a few minutes. Mike, as you think about, you mentioned something that was really interesting, something that I've found as I've really tried to gain a better understanding of how to be effective in the social space. And for me, I'm not a super social person. I'm not necessarily naturally just loving to post and those kinds of things. And so I found there was a lot of value in getting people to help me with some of those things. So whether it was comments or posting things, really helping me from a VA standpoint, leverage to do some of these things. And I appreciate you recognizing that and say that, because I think for a lot of us, it can be overwhelming. What other tools are you utilizing to help support you in the execution of that strategy?
Yeah, and just something I want to make sure I touch on here too is I heard a really good, if you know Mark King, he's a great OP in the Heartland region, does a lot of stuff with, MAPS coaching, whatever is paid for it. I heard him do a wealth building. And this was early on. I think I was just got my license. And he said something that rang true for me for social and for people to think about. It takes 13 days for someone to forget you're in real estate. And, we talked about it. How frequently do you post? That's something to think about. If it takes 13 days for your sphere of influence or someone to realize that you're not in real estate, that's what your frequency needs to be. That's a key number for me, is they need to be aware that you're doing
Uh, Mike, can you hear us? I
A
think we're
lot of
losing
it,
you.
you know, if
There you
you,
go. Sorry, we lost you for
sorry,
a minute.
okay. I'm sure I said something really great then. I was,
No, no doubt.
no. But I was going to say, and I got my little mirror ball microphone. I thought in honor of my daughter and her Dancing with the Stars.
I thought
But
that was a disco ball there for a minute.
I'm born in the '70s, so um, Mark King said this, and I don't know if you heard this part. Just saying, it takes 13 days for people to forget you're in real estate.
Yeah.
That really is it's pivotal to our social media cadence and the way we post, is weaving in organic and business. That's really important for us to be sharing our story and sharing our story the right way, and realizing we're going back to and we're doing a correction of error, and that's Monday weekly meetings. What's working, what's not working.
Yeah, so that makes me think about, and there's a lot of discussion about Gary Keller rewriting the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and the reality of that is they come back and just say, like, there isn't much that's really going to change. Like, we nailed it really the first time, and the concept of these touches, or these 33 touches that we talk about. The one thing that we have heard is that potentially there's going to be a recommendation that we do more than 33 touches in a year, which of course is 3 touches basically a month. And for many of us, we think, wow, that is just a lot of touches. But you touch on such a great point that Mark shared with you, which is people forget that we're in business like instantly almost. I mean, 10 to 13 days, that does not take long for people to forget. And I think most of us have had those experiences where a friend or neighbor or family member, all of a sudden you hear transacts business and has forgotten somehow that you're in the industry. My own dad sold something without me. I have to admit that. but like, our ability to continue to stay in front of people is going to probably require us to do more than 33 touches. Social media is a great way to do that. Are you guys utilizing any tools like Hootsuite or others that help you be more systematic and consistent in your social strategy?
Yeah, who we were actually using in the beginning, one watch out that I think we've kind of transitioned away from that, is different platforms call for different content and different information. Hootsuite does a great job if you're going to provide the same content, the same information on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so forth. We're realizing people are going to different platforms, and this is no hidden secret, but for different things. So we're weaving video where we might do a stagnant picture. So we're figuring out that hero shot differently. So a lot of it actually is done manually currently by our awesome marketing managers, Aaron and Ashley and team.
Got it. So I've got a question here from Justin Yoder, who asked, are you engaging potential buyers and sellers on your social media and converting them to clients? And maybe I'll shape that question just a little bit, because I think in many cases when we have our sphere of influence and we're consistently contacting or communicating or connecting with them, these are people that have been in business with us or been in a relationship with us for a period of time, and either we know them or they know us for a longer period of time. I would think that maybe Justin's question is more around, like, when we get a lead online or a sign call, are we intentionally looking for ways to engage with them at that point in the social space to start developing that relationship quicker? I know many people, like whether it's a Boomtown lead or e-edge lead, market leader type lead, many teams are pulling that email address and then seeing if, as part of their touches to try to connect with them, looking them up on Facebook and trying to connect with them on Facebook or other social platforms, primarily in Facebook though. Are you guys doing anything like that?
For sure. And you hit a couple quick things that I'll make sure I share with our nuggets. There's a website, PIPL.com, where it's an aggregation tool. So if you type in their information, they'll come out and where are they at. So versus having to go to multiple different platforms. So yes, you hit on Boomtown. We're blessed enough where we have Boomtown. So that links their social platforms immediately. And I think if you can get on Facebook, they can actually see a face to you, because there is so many AI technologies, so many virtual assistants, so many pieces, but they can see you're a local realtor. You can help them in that way, and maybe you have mutual friends. We're using that piece too, the mutual friends. You might be able to ping someone that you know really well and say, hey, just let them know I'm a great realtor, and ask for that referral, ask for that connection or that warm connection. I think that's a big way to go, and we are integrating that 100%.
Oh, I love that idea. So looking at where you have a mutual relationship and then reaching out to that mutual relationship that knows you, that can give that little testimonial for the new lead.
Exactly. And I even go a step further. You think about referrals too. So many of us are in different referral private Facebook groups, and you see someone, see who that other agent is connected to that and ask that person saying, hey, will you put in a good word for me and let them know I did a flawless job for you last time? That's going to go so much further than I think when you have people post and there's like 5 in a row for the same person. You're saying, all right, I got it. They're either in their same organization or there's some connection there, or they spoke at one of their classes. Do they really have an engagement level or actually done a service for them? I think that goes so much further, and using social in that way.
Yeah, awesome. So I know that you guys do, or you in particular do, a number of kind of live Facebook Live events. Um, what is your thought process around that? Is that just simply because you know that those get greater engagement? How do you approach that?
Yeah, I think so. And here's the piece too that I'd share is make sure that you're very specific on the time. I think a lot of times as agents and as people who are doing social, don't think that you can just do it anytime and have the same level of engagement. So for like an example, from 1 to 2 directionally on Wednesday, or call it 12 to 2 in that range, that's the stats have said, and we've done research on this, that the most amount of people in domestic United States are going to be on social and be online. They've come back from the lunch break. They're catching up. It's midweek. They've already had their meetings on Monday. They're not necessarily on the weekend game yet. So Wednesday is the most important. And here's the other piece. 80% of the domestic United States for Central Time and East Coast Time. So 80% of those people are on Central Time or East Coast Time. So when you engage that post, you're getting almost 80% of the country.
Yeah, interesting. I think that when we really start getting purposeful about our strategy, understanding those windows of time where we have the best chance to connect with our audience is powerful, because when you start really understanding the stats of when you just start dabbling in this, it's like 3 to 5% of your audience might actually see your post in many cases. And that's just not accomplishing what we want to accomplish, right? So getting consistent, being purposeful about doing it at the right times, all of a sudden you can drive that up where a much larger part of your audience is actually seeing your post. And your
100%.
ability or willingness to go back and engage in the conversation will really drive that level of penetration much deeper, right? So your ability to go in and participate in the comments section of those posts and following up and liking things that people like really help drive that deeper through your total sphere, total group, right?
100%. It's about paying it forward, engaging with them, and adding good value and good content.
Yeah, awesome. So what are some of the big mistakes that you've made, right? What are, if you're sitting down coaching someone new that was a year or two behind you, and you could share with them some of the learning curve or help them shorten that learning curve, what are some of the things that were mistakes that you would do differently now, or that you'd coach that person to not do?
For sure. And I would say this is social is more than anything else that you're doing in business. It changes so quickly. So I would say make sure you're investing and you're learning every day, all the time. But here's one of it. When we started in the beginning, we were just sporadically just posting things. And we do this in all our marketing levers that we use in a company. Oh, I'm going to go do some door knockers now. Let me buy some. So we might do a post on Facebook, then we do one on Instagram. But now we took a step back and said, here's an example. Does Christmas happen the same time every year? Does Thanksgiving happen the same time every year? Does Halloween happen the same time every year? So we've built out a marketing strategy calendar now that says we know what we're going to be posting on Halloween. Halloween's October 31st every day, and really act like a company. Do you think Hershey's, Kit Kat, Toyota just said, you know what? Oh, the Super Bowl, is it not the same time, every year we're planning out our strategy? Look at Oreo. They had over 1 million engagements on Twitter just by planning out that strategy. And that was probably a 1-year plan. So we're really looking at it that way. The house might change or the client might change, but that process is the same. You're just changing out. And, sometimes you look at it and you hate to say a widget, but that's some of what you're doing. So if you can strategize your social capacity to say, let me have a whole annual calendar or quarterly, like a perfect example, there's 14 days left in the year of 2017. to get something in contract if you have a 30-day contract period. So let's close it out hard and let's build the habits now.
Yeah, so really coming from a place of intentional focus rather than dabbling in it, build out your plan, and then and it's not just kind of haphazard. It's not when you feel like it. It's really a structured strategy with plan. I'm hearing more and more that Facebook, in order to be truly effective in that space, is becoming more and more of a kind of a pay-to-play type of environment, and specifically the power to boost post to really make sure your audience is seeing that. Are you guys, do you have a budget that you're spending on your social every single month to boost posts, or are you primarily doing targeted marketing, like targeted ads, that kind of thing?
I'm so glad you brought that up. And it was just kind of one of my notes, and I wanted to make sure I share with everyone. This whole year, we didn't really know until probably like July. We figured out the technology where you can actually, our sphere of influence, and you talked about the 33 touch, which I know is shifting to 36 touch. We've uploaded that list of our sphere of influence into Facebook. Our Facebook ad buys for a lot of our buys go directly to that list. So as you know, right now, when you're doing Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, you're picking demographics, you're picking locations. We're actually doing that differently. So that way we're using that as a touch. So all of our posts are actually going to our followership or our sphere of influence currently. And I think that's been a big game changer for us, because they think, and a lot of people think that this is being blasted everywhere, but we're being very strategic and very poignant that those 6,000 people are getting our touches and our ads all the time.
I hope everyone's just kind of pausing and writing this down. If you're not familiar with this strategy, this is probably one of the most cost-effective ways to stay in front of your audience. And so what Mike is saying is, not only do you have the ability in Facebook to do demographic and kind of this population dissection of who you want to market to, but even more powerful is when you take an email list of your clients or people that have been potential leads online or whatever, and load that group up into Facebook and then market specifically to that group. Your ROI on that dollar spent is just incredible. Like, you have such ability to target those specific people for such a low cost. It's really, really remarkable.
You hit on low cost. I mean, some of ours we're only doing $20. Right. I'm not talking, hopefully people don't think we're not, just because our volume is such that it is, we're by no means doing $100 or $50. Most of ours are 15, 20, depending on the length or the duration of the time. And I would say tighten that duration up, because as you know, on social, everything happens so quickly and comes at you quickly. Don't do a long duration or something. I mean, think about how many times you've had a Facebook invite to something. And that is something we actually integrate into our business strategy. But if you did that for a month, you forget about it. So you need to make sure they're really tight, maybe a 72-hour window.
Yeah. Yeah. And conversely, I've heard, and we've had some success with getting, like a lot of these videos that we're doing, we'll get some really good organic traffic for the first handful of days, let it really run organically, engage the audience as much as we can, and then actually boost it after a handful of days. And all of a sudden it'll go from 2,000 views to like 5,000 views. And our budget to boost it is maybe $50 to $100. But even with $30, we're getting really incredible traction. It's just easy money, I think. So give us some specific maybe posts or videos or things that you've done where you felt like it's just gotten really good traction with your audience. Maybe something that has really just kind of had a good run because of the content.
Yeah, two things I want to weave in, and back to going to events and learning from awesome people. Cody Gibson does this 7 steps to abundant listings, and weaved in there is I have a buyer post. We've actually taken that and integrated that. And if you're not doing that, I do that today. And what that does is we all have these unicorn homes, or these homes that are really difficult you can't find through MLS. So what we're doing is we're actually personalizing this. And this is R&D. Like I said, Cody and his team developed this, but we're integrating it into our business model, and it's been game-changing, is saying, Brenda, so it actually gives a person, and it is one of our clients, obviously you don't give the last name, but her and her 2 kids are looking for a home for Christmas. It's $200K. They need 3 bedrooms. And we're getting people to PM us and personally message us saying, I was not thinking about selling my home and I was waiting till spring, but my home maybe fits that criteria. And then we can set that appointment and have that conversation with that person. And it's a win because we might be able to get our amazing client, Brenda, into her dream home for Christmas. So it's a win for everyone. That's been something that's been really key. And something else I want to make sure that I share with everyone is Snapchat. People are saying, how do I use that? I would not say get really big behind it, but here's what it does. See, on Facebook and Instagram and some of those, people maybe are a little more scared to engage or show they had a view on something. If you do it on Snapchat, so before you get to an open house, actually do a 360 tour of the home on Snapchat, you're going to see people that are on the peripheral that are either want to be in real estate or maybe looking to buy or sell that are going to engage with that on Snapchat because they think it's not as out there, and they're not saying, hey, I'm out there, I want you to engage with me with a 36 touch program. So please integrate that into your business. I don't think it's a heavy tactic, but I think it's something that needs to be integrated because you're doing an open house anyway. So weave that in, and we've seen some results from that.
Mike, I think I have a buyer might be post might be my biggest aha of the day. For years, and maybe your market's similar to this, but in Utah right now, we have a real shortage of listings, especially quality listings, and we have a plethora of buyers, right? So we're really struggling to find good listing opportunities for buyers. And for years, I've had a letter that I've sent out to communities where people have identified a neighborhood that they're excited about, but we can't find a home that matches their needs. So we'll send a letter to the entire community just saying, hey, the Smiths from Palacino are really interested or have decided that they love this neighborhood but can't find a home that's currently on the market. If you're thinking about selling or know someone in the market in the area that would sell, please reach out to us. And we've had such good success with that. But taking that to the social space, I love that. What a brilliant idea, and I think a great way to stay in front of people. So I'm taking that one for sure.
I love it, and this is show's about, and I love that you're doing it. I know this is the 9th episode, but it's just actually paying it forward. I mean that's our job here. What learnings can we have from other people, and maybe aggregate that to share that with you. That's all we want to do here. So hopefully there's continues to be some good questions. I know our marketing managers are watching some of those and responding.
Hey, so a couple last questions, and then we'll take some questions from our audience and then wrap up. But I've heard in the past that you should have kind of this balance of personal posts, maybe 9 personal posts for every 1 business post. Do you think that's still relevant, or how would you coach someone relative to that balance between personal and business posts?
Yeah, and I think it goes back to that 13-day piece. If you have that in your head and that's my strategy, someone forgets 13 days, what does that mix look like? So something we've done, and you talked about what would I not do again? When you say just listed, who's really engaging in that? Look back at your last 50 just listed, but figure out a different way to do that. So some of the things we've been integrating recently is look at this beautiful kitchen, and actually getting people in the home to engage versus just listed. And I think that's helped. And another piece, this is tactical, but I think it's helpful for people that are just starting on social. If you're just posting something and there's no way for someone to engage or get further information, that's a gap. You've just wasted that viewership or that work. And what I mean is have a website link, have somewhere where someone can go and they can find information, find out more about that property or about you. And that's something we did in the beginning where we thought we were sharing great content. We had the hashtags, but we have no way to get it end to end to the end user to have them engage with us. So make sure that you have a shareable link that they can actually engage with. And I even go a step further. When you have sometimes your website, people are less likely to engage in that. Use a shortener. Use Google shortener to actually, I think they're going to, realize that might not be a website and it might not get spam. We're just here to share and help, and we're coming from contribution, but at times people think of us as selling.
Yeah, it's such a great point. I see so frequently, and I think this is a good strategy where an agent will be out, be looking at property, they'll see a home that is either beautiful or weird or whatever. They'll take a picture of it and share it and be like, can you imagine yourself in this kitchen? Or can you believe this carpet or whatever, right? But then there's actually no link back to either their IDX website or something that allows the engagement to just go that much deeper. I think being strategic about that is smart, right?
For sure.
So any kind of last final advice if someone was brand new getting into the business? First of all, I'm assuming you'd say, there's a lot of value in engaging in social media. I get that. And what are some of the things that you would coach that person to do right out of the gate? What advice would you have for them relative to building their business utilizing social media?
Yeah, I'd say fail forward. I think I hear a lot of people that I talk to and engage with, they say, well, I want to get the perfect house shot. I'll wait till I get my listing or I get that $1 million listing. Then I'm going to post on social. No, usually your friends and people that love and trust and want to work with you, they're your friends already now. And they know you're doing real estate. If they have a need that's real estate, they're going to use you. So why not share yourself and share what you're going through and start from the beginning? Be vulnerable. I think that's the piece too, is be organic and be real, and people are going to connect with that. And they're going to say, you know what? Hey, I know Mike Dooley's not only posting $10 million listings. They're going to say, he's one of our friends. He's one of our families. We want to help them in their business. And I would say something we've most recently started in Q4 and the back of Q3 is doing B2B posts. If you have an amazing restaurant or someone that just started a company, post about them and pay it forward. And I think integrate that in your business, because then you're going to be considered a thought leader in social media, not just about real estate. So you're providing value.
I think that's spot on advice. I mean, one, answering the questions, being of value, helping people find solutions to their problems, being organic and just being you, right? I was listening to a interview of a gentleman the other day, and I don't know that he had any much success in social media space, but he was commenting about social media. Mm-hmm. And he was saying like how important it is to basically be vanilla. And like don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, don't talk, like, I mean, he was just vanilla. And I think one of the best pieces of advice I got was from an agent a handful of years ago who was very just her on Facebook. And some of the people that I've seen that are most successful in this space are just them. Like, you see some of their posts and you're like, oh my gosh, wow, I can't believe they just posted that. Like, that takes a lot of guts to put yourself out there like that. But that's their personality off social media. Like, that's who they really are. And I actually asked this agent, I'm like, what is your strategy when you're being so either opinionated or just kind of you online? Aren't you worried about offending people? And she said, and really it's I think it really aligns with who we are at Keller Williams, and that we come from a place of abundance. And her comment was just so, it's stuck with me forever, because it was just so poignant, I thought. And she just said, look, if I'm attracting people that aren't like me, I'm not going to have any fun. Right. And I don't want to do business with people that are going to find out later that they don't really like who I am. So I'd rather be just really me and be transparent about who I am. And there's enough people out there like me that I'm going to attract those people, and that's going to make business a lot of fun. And I just thought that was great advice. Yeah.
That's awesome advice. You know what I'd say too, as you start to become a mega or empire builder, be a little bit sensitive too to knowing your brand as you bring on other people. And I think that's something we talked about, to pay it forward, to think about as you're developing this brand. Develop it as you're going to have 26 people or 112 people in your organization. What does that look like? So one cautionary to that point, that I want to make sure is, if there's really strong people are passionate about something. So we coach our people on our team. Politics, obviously, the election piece was going through. We said we'd prefer if you didn't post on that on social media, because you are going to have maybe someone that's following you and maybe want to engage or work with you that believes differently. So be yourself, be authentic, but there is some things that I would stay away from. I think politics is one of those things. I think there is a gap on religion. Like our team, I'm so excited to have our company and our team is when Las Vegas horrible incident happened and some of the other things. As a company, we prayed as a team. And not everyone's the same religion, but just saying, let's pray for those folks and put our hand on them. So there is some things that I'd stay away from.
Yeah. Some pros and cons. I mean, you got to be conscious that about your strategy. It's going to alienate or attract, and it may attract someone that you don't really care to be in business with or has a very different opinion. You just got to be okay with that.
Dead on.
Yeah. Great points. Where do you, you got some nice comments. Taylor Klein, blessed to be in business with you, Mike Dooley. Some nice comments, people asking you if you're ready to open a location in Dallas as well. So you'll have to follow up on some of those comments.
Yes, for sure. I will tell you, we actually have a map, and we can post this below or later. We have a projected 36 locations that we want to go to in 2018. Actually, we're going to have 1,000 agents as our goal in 2018. So we're looking at a lot of great, a lot of great locations. But I would say it's not necessarily about locations, and this is for anyone for social. It's about the who.
Mm.
And I think that's why I've been blessed. It's not Mike Dooley, and I by no means want to put it out there as in like I did all these great things. I have so many amazing people in my organization because I've got the right who. And we've used social to do that. I think about our senior manager of operations on our team. I posted out on social saying we're looking for people, we're hiring, who wants to work with us and do something great. It's a stay-at-home mom that was one of our good friends that I never thought was looking for work, but it's worked out amazingly. Her 2-year-old is in our team meetings every week. She gets to be part of our company and works from home, but I wouldn't have it any other way. That's all because of social. If I would have never asked who's looking for a role, we would have never had some of these people.
Yeah, awesome. If you're liking the conversation and would love to be notified when we do more of these, make sure you like our Facebook page, facebook.com/KW Utah. Also, you can follow me at facebook.com/Matt Green Utah. And we do interviews like this about twice a month and have super talented people on, just like Mike. Mike, appreciate you being on today. Couple last questions. Someone asked, this is David Gomez asked, is it worth having a business Facebook page, or are you recommending people just use a personal Facebook profile?
Great question. And I think this is debated a lot of times, and we even debate in our own organization, our broader Hergenrother Realty Group. I think you need both, honestly. I think people want to go for two different things. I think when you're on your personal page, you can weave in business and you can be organic and you can be you. When you have the business page, you're providing information, but you can have good content on there. And I think you can use both, but I think it's important to have both.
I think that from everything that I'm reading and really following and watching, I think that's the right answer as far as I can tell as well.
Well, future sellers and future people that are going to work with you, they're going to research you a little bit too. Yeah. So I think that's another piece. If you're just on your personal page, they might not find you as easy, but if you're an organization and they can see your team and they can see some of the house and some of the things that you're doing, I think that goes a long way.
Where do you see the industry going in the next handful of years? I mean, we're seeing these monumental changes. Your guys' business structure just in itself is a huge departure from the traditional real estate structure. Do you have any ideas or thoughts where we see the industry go in the next handful of years?
I do, and then this was integral in why I decided to go from the Dooley Group and go into expansion and be within the Hergenrother Realty Group is AI technology. You're going to have expansionists that are going to be, like I said, our goal is 1,000 agents next year. Imagine if we're in every market center and we had 5 agents. It's going to be very difficult, and I hate to say for people to compete, but there is some of that with expansionists when you can have AI technology. So right now, just as a stat, say it takes 4 agents to 1 admin or administrative person. If you had AI technology that was operating at a high level the right way, you could have 1,000 agents and only have 25 staff people, but have AI and do it differently and be more efficient and handle. And that task has changed where it's 214 tasks to close a home. I know with technology now it's been 198. If 190, call it 2, are accomplished by AI technology, how much more efficient and let alone efficient, how much more profitable can you be as a company, and how much can you be as far as charity giving? It's going to be game changing. So that's what I see as technology integrated. I don't see it going to technology where you're going to see these companies be so digitally based. I think this is such a people to people business. And this is why social is important, integrating all of it, technology, social, and people.
Yeah. Mike, any last comments for the group before we wrap up?
No, I would love being on your show. I'm blessed for the opportunity. Obviously want to thank, Gary Keller Williams and all that to be able to change my family's life, my team's life, and our company's life. And like I said, if you want to definitely be part of our broader 1,000 agents and really what we're doing, something amazing, we'd love to connect with you. And our website is hergroup.com. And then reach out to us anytime, and looking forward to it.
Awesome. Mike, again, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a huge pleasure. Learned a ton. Got some great takeaways. I'm really excited to implement some of those ideas. And for our group, please reach out to Mike if you have any additional questions online. Certainly, you can find him on Facebook. And Mike, appreciate you being willing to comment and participate in the discussion below. And then if you're interested in learning more about some of the upcoming events that we have coming, make sure that you're liking our Facebook page, facebook.com/KW Utah, and follow me at facebook.com/Matt Green Utah. That's our show for today. You guys have a great day. Peace, love, and productivity. Thanks. Take care.